Oh, I was just vibing out and then look what happened. I get carried away. Uh, I am loving this avatar, by the way. There's this and there's like another two or three. And they're just like, I won't say they're like brilliant. I won't say they're like perfect. But, it's a nice mix up from what usually is, so. Yeah. Well, also, someone's got like some weird, like, yeah, there we go. I'm hoping the stream's gonna sort itself out, but I just need to sort out one or two more settings. One sec. Let's try this now. No, I wasn't happy with that. Apparently not. It's not happy with it. It's not happy with it, so. Hey ho. You win some, you lose some, eh? Oh well. It was worth a try. Feels good, man. Like, I came into this world. On. I'm trying to think now. I came into this world on Sunday. And I sat in here for 5 hours. Completely unbeknownst to me, sitting in here for 5 hours. I actually sat in here for 5 hours. I looked this way for 5 hours. Just off into the like slightly distant sunset. And it sounds crazy. But I went downstairs and saw what the time was, and I was like, oh well. It's maddening and it's crazy, but it happened, so that's life, I guess. I'm just trying to make sure I've covered all bases, and I am doing okay in terms of my microphone and of my volume. It would appear I'm okay. Give or take one or two. Yeah. And it looks like the packet loss is fixing itself. For now. Okay, we got the notification, right? Let me just do one other thing first. I have just remembered about this. I just need to like relax, and take a bit of a sit back, I think. not push myself too hard and I think if I do that, I'll be fine. Because what was happening was I was coming home every night in a week, and I was saying like I want to I can't remember what my schedule used to be, but I think I used to not do a Monday, then I used to do a Tuesday, and then Wednesday, and then I take the Thursday off, and then I do Friday. But then the original schedule was to do Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the Saturday and Sunday would be in the morning, which is my morning, which is the US is like midnight. So it was like crazy and going a bit loopy because I was having to get up early on a weekend, and I wasn't giving my body time to recuperate. Look, can't even speak right. I wasn't giving my body time to recover from having to wake up really early all week. So, going to bed late on a Friday, waking up early on a Saturday was a big ask. I do want to go back to doing stuff on the weekend, and this week's a good week to start doing stuff again because it's a bank holiday over here, so everyone's got the day off pretty much. Which means I can do whatever I want pretty much all Thursday, all Friday, all Saturday, and then on Sunday I've got to be a bit careful because I'm back on the Monday. But hey ho, it's a good time. It's a good time. We can have a good time here today. Yeah. Don't worry. And before you ask, no, this is not my model. Absolutely not. This is just something I wanted in place of my actual one because I've not yet imported my new one in. And from the actual test one I have, I realize I have to actually make some base edits as well. So yeah, it's gonna take a little bit. The only day I know I can't do anything is Friday. I've got something happening on Friday, apparently. Until that gets cancelled, and then I can start this again. So I have pretty much the daytime. I might even not do the nighttime. I might just do something during the daytime. So it's a little bit wavy about when I can do it, but I'm going to try and do it. 1, 2, maybe 3 if I'm pushing it. You see, the problem is, right? Let's turn this way because this is a better view. In life, there are responsibilities, and responsibilities take a lot of kind of trying to get your way together, and responsibilities sometimes eat up all your time, and that makes that a problem because I can't do what I want to do, which is sit here, be one of the chillest people, right? Because in life, I find it very hard to chill. And this is a good way, is by me letting off this steam, this like ranting steam of just talking utter nonsense. Gives me this ability to be able to just chill, right? Let me crack a window open. How's there a window in the sky? Ah. You win this one, window. But basically, there's a lot of responsibilities, right? And those pile up, right? And everything that started with me changing jobs, right? I changed jobs and was basically, you know how like sometimes you get those adverts that say like, have you been missold PPI and stuff? Let me turn this music down. It's a little bit loud. Okay, so you know how those adverts come out and they're like, have you been missold PPI and it's not your fault? Yeah, that's kind of what happened to me. I was missold a job, right? And my job basically said, hey, guess what? Do you want to do this thing for us? And they were basically saying, yeah, you get to do all this stuff. I've just noticed that my chat isn't working. Oh, the joys, the joys. And it's because I didn't have the window open. How wonderful. Basically, I was shown this job and they said, yeah, you can basically move into this job. It's going to pay more than what you do. It's going to be better. I feel like you're going to really flourish in this role, right? And I didn't, because what I was a glorified support advisor. And there was a lot of hesitance to try and get me to do someone else's role, right? And this wasn't a role I was interested in. It was not the role I was promised before I moved. And there was no time for me to do what I was actually supposed to be doing. So I straight up like just started having these like mental panics and things, because I was like, I'm not being able to do my job here because I'm doing someone else's job. My mind was going, this is bad, this is very bad, this is bad. And I was like, all right, let's be calm for a minute. I was struggling, right? And it was to the point where I was struggling to do this. I was struggling to even just stay like alert and things, right? And this was kind of like the beginning of it. This was like November, roughly, middle of November. I started having a bit of a problematic time with that stuff, right? So, what this in the end encompassed down to was, I talked to, the person who gave me the job. I said, look, I gave it until after the new year, so I'd given it a chance. I'd given it 2 months, and I just had to pull it to one side. I just had to say, look, I can't do this. I'm gonna end up like having a mental breakdown if I'm stuck here in this role. I can't do it because it's disorganized to my head, right? And it's not the fact that I can't do the thing, right? It's the fact that the resolutions to problems, right, I don't know for this role. Whereas in my old role, yeah, I know how to fix these things because I've worked with these things for years, right? I know how to fix these things. I know what to do, right? And let alone all these other things, right? So I went in there, I said, look, I'm going to have an issue. I'm having mental health problems because this role is not fitting for me. So over time, they started to wean me back into the old role. That was a good sign, right? And sign of a good company. Yeah, let's go. And company basically, literally, I think yesterday, officially said, yeah, all right, it's gone through. You're officially back on your old role, right? And that was very nice for me, because now I'm in a space where, yeah, I might get more stick for things, right? I might get more issues. In the end, though, does that really matter? No. It doesn't matter whether I get more stick because I know how to fix the issue. Right? But that's how everything started, and that's how everything fell down, because I was a very consistent person, right? Very consistent. Till around November, I was a very consistent person. I was on here 5 days a week, every week. And granted, I'd only been doing it for like 5 months at that point, but that's beyond the point, right? I was consistent, which made me all the more better. There's lots of other determining factors, right, that wean me into like having issues with, doing things, streaming, or just having a bad time in general, right? And a lot of that stuff's to do with yours truly. But I think a big one is pretty much where I'm at in life, where I'm sharing a singular internet connection with like 7 to 8 other people, right? And you've got to remember is that these people aren't just like simple web browsing. It's like, yeah, right, if the simple web browsing, that's fine. Like, no, these people are like all 4K streaming and stuff. So I'm having issues with like dropouts on the whole thing, and I can tell when people are using it because that is a problem. And I know that this is not going to be of the best quality when other people are streaming in 4K consistently. What you might find is I may have been caught in 4K. Yeah, you. Let me lock that in place so it doesn't move. We'll smooth it. Sure, let's do the look at me. I think that's a good thing. Let me just sort the camera out before I carry on. There we go. Right. So it's locked. That was that, right? And that was how that was being dealt with. That was how that was being used and utilized, right? And they were basically saying to me, yeah, that's fine, right? And now I've got this internet issue where I can't get above 40 kilobits and 4,000. Wow, could you imagine if I couldn't hit above 400 kilobits? Oh man, right. So basically I couldn't hit above 4,000, right? So I'm roughly edging 4,000 now, and that is very dependent on what other people are doing. Our internet is trash, and everyone knows it, but no one is willing to admit it. And it's easy to say get another provider and things, but I don't know. Most providers all come up with the same line anyway, so if it's an issue with the actual line and things, then what's the point in taking out another contract? I don't want another contract. Who you see, this is what baffles me about new like phones and things. Like, I don't understand the concept of contracts, right? I think contracts are the devil's work. The contracts are the devil's work. Truth. Why would you take out a phone contract, right? When your phone's... I'm trying to get the eyes to open. Hold on. Ah! So why would you take out another phone contract? Please stop that. Why would you take out another phone contract when your phone is still usable and it will still be usable for the next, I don't know, 20 let's say 36 months, right? I think 36 months is a very good time frame for a phone. That's 3 years, right? So why would you take another contract out 12, like a year after you got your phone anyway? This is, I've never had a phone on a contract. They've all been phones that I've grasped either off eBay, or they've just come off like little side things in the town. They've like come from all these different sources, the hand-me-downs from other places and things. And the issue is, right, they all still work. And they work fine. And they're fully capable of working fine. And I don't understand why people need to think, I need the newest model of the newest phone. Like, I think that's just me. I think I am literally the scummiest scumbag out there. And I'm just thinking, like, you know, I'm like just a cheapo, right? I'm just a cheapo, and I don't do any of this stuff, right? And I'm like, no, why am I like the odd one out? At the end of the day, I'm the one saving money, so, you know, I'm not the one that's got no cash. Nothing's stopping me from going out there and purchasing, I don't know, what's coming out very soon. I don't know, like, if I could pull the money together, maybe, like, you know, if I could get a PlayStation 5, I don't know. It's like, there's nothing stopping me doing that, because that money is stocked away, you know? Now, granted, it's not stocked away for a PlayStation 5, but if I so pleased. And then there's just people out there like, I need the newest iPhone. And I'm sitting here gonna rant about iPhones now, because iPhones are the worst. iPhones are awful. iPhones are awful. This is because you're talking to someone who is very tech savvy, right? And iPhones restrict you if you are tech savvy. And that is a problem. So here's how I'd like provoke it, right? And how I'd say, like, iPhones are the devil's work, I think. The thing is, right, iPhones don't have the feature set. No, that's not right. They do have the feature set, right? But the problem with iPhones is iPhones have this thing about them where Android has already done it. One of my best friends, right, back in a long time ago, right, so it was my best friend, pitted me against his new iPhone, right? So he had I think it was an iPhone 6 at the time, maybe a 7. I don't know, but it was roughly around that, right? So it was an iPhone 6, iPhone 7 era. And he was like, oh, I bet that iPhones are much better than your Android, right? And at the time, I had an Android which was from 2011. So this was like a really old phone, right? At this point, it was a absolutely awful phone. And this was base, right? So we'll clarify the rule set is that this was a non-jailbroken iPhone, and it was a non-rooted / custom firmware Android, right? The baseline, completely baseline. My phone came out in 2011. I think it was 11. My phone came out in 2011. I had the Android, right? So I had that Android. And he had the new iPhone 7, whatever it was. I don't remember what it was, right? But he had like one of the new iPhones at the time. It was like, oh yeah, there's this new thing where you can like get your Wi-Fi on and off like really quickly just by the software and things. And I was thinking, you mean like my phone can? So it kind of pitted me in a battle of like who can turn the Wi-Fi on the fastest, right? And I'm like, right, I'm proving you wrong. I am proving you wrong because I am sick of iPhones being shilled at me, being like, iPhones are great, iPhones are perfect. They're not. They're overpriced. They're overpriced, and Android did it. When was this? This was in 2015, so my phone was 4 years old at this point. And this new iPhone came out that year, right? So he was like, yeah. So we pit it against each other. My phone, which was 4 years old at that point, matched the speed of being able to do this simple task that they were really boasting up at the time, right? I'm just sat here, I'm just like, whoa. What a surprise. Like what you want, right? Like an iPhone, like an Android, whatever, right? I don't care, right? But don't shill the product to me and say like, you should get one of these things. They're absolutely amazing. Don't shill it to me. Because that is the point where I will shoot it down. Right? Don't tell me what to get. Because I will shoot it down. I did the same thing in 2013 to the old Xbox One versus PS4 pandemic, right? Everyone was like, I'm getting a PlayStation 4 now because Xbox doesn't have the exclusive rights to this game. Xbox doesn't have good games. Xbox always needs to be online. I'm just here like, look, it is an Xbox. I am going to get an Xbox, right? I'm sure that PlayStation has many amazing games on it. At this time, though, a lot of my friends are getting Xboxes. And I do this to play with my friends. So, take that. Like, seriously, what is the point of me having a console where I can't play the games with my friends when I specifically have the console to play the games with my friends? Explain that one to me, genius. I don't understand the whole like, yeah, we should get this, we should get whatever, right? I'm just thinking like, right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get a baseline standardized thing, right? Yeah, the PlayStation 4 is it's a semi-decent console. Mine's a little bit slow, but I think I'm gonna fix that by throwing the SSD in it. And then, on top of that, you've got all the other little bits and bats. It's just a bit dangerous when you start like trying to rail together like all these little arguments, and then the second you say, you shouldn't get that, you should get this, I am going to shoot you down so fast. It is unreal. Like, how best to like word this? How best to put this, I think, is the better way of wording it. How best do I say to someone, look, I don't care how, I don't know. I don't care how much you say this product is amazing or brilliant, right? If you say to me, you should buy this product because it is better than the one you currently have, right? And there's no wise advantage on site, right? For me to say, yeah, you know what, you're right. Then I'm going to just tell you no, because I have this and this is good enough for me, right? And then he's going to be like, no. This is the whole reason, right? Well, no, that's not the reason I have an Android. I have an Android because I'm poor, but the thing about that is it's made me a lot more tech aware, right? Then again, I think I was pretty tech aware when I was a kid anyway. Who knows? I guess I do. I know. Every opportunity you get on a computer, and then you're like causing viruses and your things, and then you've got like the big like Trojan horse icon on your screen, and you're like, yeah, I did that. Oh, many times have I put viruses and Trojan horses on PCs and then completely denied it. Did it to school computers once, I think. I do remember I put we intentionally may have done something that may have been a little bit questionable on the school computers and accidentally got Wikipedia blocked. we we were all using like similar named accounts, right? So we created these accounts and we started to make small edits, right? Very, very tiny, teensy tiny edits, right? Onto Wikipedia pages. And they were for like meaningless things. I can't really see any reason that anyone would go to them. So we weren't gonna like disrupt like history based Wikipedia articles because like, you know, we are good, upstanding students and we don't want to impede the research of our other fellow students, right? So we were gonna hit like things that were kind of just ridiculously like simple and weren't taught in schools and things. So we were hitting things like the lords and duchesses and things and whatever. They weren't gonna teach us about those, and you know, like just basic things like I don't know, ice cream. I'm trying to think of what else we hit. I'm pretty sure we just hit the word cows as well. We hit the word cows, I think, and then we started like putting stuff in, and that's how we got into the ice cream, because we just followed the whole like trail down. So you know how like you usually do that Wikipedia race where you can like race through just clicking through Wikipedia, and you're like, oh, right. So I start on Jesus, and I need to make it to Kevin Bacon. Oh, that's actually like a real thing as well. It's what is it? Steps to Bacon or something. Yeah, something like that. Let me just check one thing really quick. I don't think I did this. Oh, no, I did. I did. There we go. Right, so steps to bacon is basically how fast can you reach Kevin Bacon on Wikipedia. From any given article that Wikipedia races so deduces. It's either that or it's something that determines how many it is. So something like that. Or maybe what it is it's Wikipedia, right? And it drops you on a page, and this thing knows like you can reach Kevin Bacon in this many steps, and it's your goal to do it in that many steps and as fast as possible. But it's usually not as fast as possible because you can't just off the top of your head do it. And there's some people that are really good at it too. Really, really, really good. And it's crazy how good they are. That was something else we did in school. We did like crazy stuff in school. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to chill, and so much I'm just rambling at this point. It's crazy to me how much like right. It is madness, absolute crazy madness. Hey, stop that! Trying to get my hand out of the controller because I need to see the screen. And there's the whole like thing about, oh, you can't do that because it's not. Of course I can. Ain't nothing stopping me from being like able to come out of this. Like I find it much easier to just come out of the VR to mess with things on the screen than it is to do them within the VR. Even though I own OVR toolkit and XS overlay and stuff, I honestly, it's just so much easier to go out there to see something than it is to do it in here. Maybe not the chat, which is on the back of my arm, but you know, that's something in nothing anyway. You should be thankful. Ow! Ha ha. Ha. You get what you deserve, Sky. You get what you deserve. Just be just be happy, right? And that's a hard thing to do, but that's what you should be. You should just be a happy little marshmallow, right? Just be a happy little marshmallow and you'll be fine. And that's all life is, right? Life's trying to learn how to be a happy little marshmallow. See? It's difficult sometimes, you know. You don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know what's gonna come and hit you in the face, right? And it's how you deal with that that's the hardest part about it. Now, unfortunately, I have to stand and step away for 30 seconds, but I'm gonna come back and I'm just gonna try and be a happy little munchkin, right? Ah, I'm kind of glad because I actually needed that. You like stretch your shoulder out and you're like, ah. You know, like the screaming cat meme? That's what I think it's like. Anyway, back to the story. So, we were defacing Wikipedia articles left, right, and center, right? Now, here's what happens when you do this and you don't use a VPN, right? Basically, we got caught, right? Red-handed. All the lavas got caught doing it. The school wasn't alerted, but the mods of Wikipedia caught on to what we were doing, right? And they were like, all right, enough's enough. We've had enough of these kids doing this to, you know, the encyclopedia. Granted, we were like, we shouldn't have been doing it. And they said, okay. Oh, I never said what the final straw was. The final straw was when my friend hunted down one of the mods who reverted one of the articles we changed, and deleted his entire user page, and just wrote, I wouldn't say like bad language, I'd say it was like very questionable though, language onto the page, and very coincidentally, very quickly, the mod reverted it and erased my account, my friend's account, and about 5 to 6 other accounts. And here's what happened. They blocked the IP address of the school. And it didn't stop us actually getting on Wikipedia, right? But what they said to us was, okay, what are we going to do now? And they said, right, here's what we're going to do. We went in and we actually found the record of when they did it. And they said, oh, I've looked at this IP and it looks like a school address, right? Some sort of educational address. So this could have been a school. It could have been a whatever. Right? It could be a university for all they knew. So they said, right, here's what we're going to do. Block it and make it so that they can't create new accounts, but don't block Wikipedia. Now, granted, that was to our benefit, right? We were bad. We were quite evil. When I say we, it's not as if I was the one defacing people's user profiles, right? And they blocked it, and we moved on because, you know, the fun dropped at that point where we couldn't do that anymore. It's like we were just like breaking like little tiny things, and it feels bad. Like, now that I think back to it, like, it was funny at the time, and now I think back to it, I was just like, man, we were some like no life kids. This is what we did, right? And this was just stupid because we shouldn't have been doing it, but we carried on doing it anyway. And this was over the course of like 4 days, right? It took 4 days for the Wikipedia mods to ban us, right? Just completely. It's like ridiculous. I am so sorry. Because at this point, like, it's all volunteers. Wikipedia is all volunteers, and at this point, we were just like parading around, being like, "Yeah, come and stop us, come and stop us," and we shouldn't have been. We should have been like, "We're gonna respect your, the page that you help maintain and provide knowledge to people, right? And provide things to people." It's like, we are going to respect that and be very respectful on your web page and not causing this stupid stuff we did. So I hold my hands up to that. Like, you know, I'm very, very sorry that I defaced Wikipedia. I am very sorry. I am so sorry I did that. I only did it because it was funny at the time, right? And it was something to do at school. That's the only reason I did it. And the thing that I like take the greatest issue with, right? Give me a sec. So the thing I take like the greatest issue with is that no matter what I did back then, I look back on it today and I still think like, you know, that was like a fun time, and I know what we did was wrong, and I know that we were stupid, and I know that, you know, we were young, we were stupid, right? We were literally sitting exams that were going to affect us that year and, you know, change our lives forever, and we were some of the stupidest kids on the block, and that is no lie. Everyone else is out there having fun, like they're out there and they're like, you know, smoking some of the old, you know, doing questionable things, getting house parties, getting drunk, whatever. And what are we doing? We're sat there defacing Wikipedia. I guess everyone plays a wonderful part in life, huh? I like to think what would happen in a reality where I didn't do that. Where would I be right now if I didn't deface Wikipedia? I could have ended up preventing a complete spiral of world peace right there. One of those volunteers could have been like, oh, I'm here for world peace, like at a conference, and then he sees us defacing Wikipedia, and he's like, can't give his speech out because he's trying to fix all the little like, oh no, I've missed my conference. That's crazy. I could have completely destroyed world peace right there. What have I done? Imagine if all of this was caused by defacing an article on Wikipedia. That is intense. That is insane. That is insane. I love that there's like absolutely like no way that could happen. But the first thing that comes to my mind is, oh yeah, you have completely destroyed the peace of the world. Don't move. It's crazy. It's bizarre to me that that is a possibility. Nah. I feel like at that point you wouldn't have even bothered. So this is what happens, like my mind just works into overdrive and it's like, what if this would have happened? What if this would have happened? What if this would have happened? And then I'm just like, did I cause that? I don't know. I need to get like some anxiety meds or something. I feel like I'm going mental and it's my anxiety doing it because I'm like, oh no, that was me that did that. And in the truth, I had like no impact on it at all. Insane. I did make quite a valiant purchase today, right? And you see how the conversation just jumped to that? I made a valiant purchase today. Something that, I don't know, I kind of wanted to dabble into. It's not really my forte, but I feel like it's nice that I kind of just have them on hand. Yeah, it's a neat party trick, I think. And it's to do with tarot. So I may or may not have purchased some tarot cards, right? And someone's going to say, oh, is this you getting into the Persona fandom? Yes. Yes, it is. I've been into this fandom for a very long time. Like, Persona 5 is not my first Persona game. But I bought some because I think I can make a little project with them, right? And this is what happens. Like, I get these little ideas and things, and I'm trying to merge them together. And I've bought these tarot cards because I think I can make them work in another project. Doesn't mean I'm not gonna try out just some tarot reading, but nah, we could try that. We could potentially try that. I think that'd be cool if we can get that working. That'd be awesome. The thing is, like, I don't know if I can actually do it in a very convincing manner, right? So I don't know. I think I could do some like tarot reading. I think that'd be pretty cool. But I made the purchase because I've been wanting a deck now for like going on just about a year. I've wanted a deck of tarot cards. I was going to get into the whole like artsy part of like drawing a design and getting enamel pins made and things like that, but I've grown to learn that maybe art is not my forte. So I'm gonna like kind of just stem away from that. Most certainly art is not my forte. I keep forgetting to put the chat on the top box. I just hear like, ah, this thing ain't moving. It go down. No, it don't. I'm telling you, it go down. I love memes. Memes are cool. Memes are weird, man. Right? I watch like the unusual videos and stuff. And it's like, right, if that's what you like to watch, then you watch it. It's like I've been getting like really into like all the J-Schlatt videos. And it's like he's going through and he's just rating people's bedrooms, and he's like, oh. And he's completely unaware, like, you know, oh yeah, some people actually do live in like questionable situations, and whether it's people playing them up, I'm pretty certain a lot of them do. A lot of them do play them up. But like some people do live in like questionable situations, and to their credit, like a lot of the time it's not their fault. Right? It's like searching for a house to rent, right? You can't renovate a house that you are renting unless the landlord gives you permission. And you know what happens when you renovate the house? The landlord's like, yeah, so this is worth more. Your rent's going up. But I renovated it. Yeah, your rent's going up, boy. This is why I don't like renting, right? I don't like renting things off people. I don't like it. Anytime I take a car, right? If I was to take a car from anywhere, I would get like video evidence of every single part of that car, including all of the like things underneath it, the engine, the inside, every little nook and cranny. I would take like a 50-hour long video just to make sure I covered everything in that car, and then end up getting out of the car park to find out that my time has expired and it should have been back 4 weeks ago. Explain that one. Explain that one to me, right? Please just... Mwah. I'm growing to kind of like that age now. I'm getting back to school. I'm getting back to the school era now. So I don't go to any form of school. I don't go to any higher educated learning or anything like that, right? I can manage this sort of thing like just on my own. If I wanted to learn something, I could sit down and learn it, so long as I had the like capabilities to actually want to learn, right? Which I don't. I don't have that. I am incredibly, I wouldn't say ADHD, but I've got this incredible fascination with starting something, getting about 10 minutes into it, and then deciding, you know what? I've earned this like 5-hour break. I am going to go away now, and I'm going to scroll down Reddit for the next 6 hours, right? I don't know. That seems like a very commonplace flaw with me. And I don't know how to fix it. Ain't nothing you can do about that one. Ooh, this tune. So, back to the story. I'm getting very back into that age bracket now where I wish I was back at school. And thinking like, you know, I didn't do too bad. I don't think I did too bad at school. The question I have, though, is that at school, was I actually a good student? I feel like if I went back to school now, I could be one of the best students ever. And it's just because I've got a will and want to learn. Whereas when back then, I just wanted to come home and play like video games. That's all I wanted to do when I was younger. I just wanted to come home and play video games. Whether I was playing on my Nintendo DS or Xbox or whatever, I just wanted to play video games. And I feel like that is a commonplace thing for a lot of people. Let's do that, eh? At least you can get like some of the vibe now of the tunes. The issue that I had in school was, right, I used to go to school. I used to have to set off at like very early in the morning, right? So not super early, but it's like early enough that you have to get up earlier than you set off, and then when you arrive at school you're like an hour early, so then you get a chance to actually like catch up on little bits. I used to take that very for granted, right? And I used to go in really early. I used to do all my homework for the day in this hour gap, right? And the only ones I wouldn't do that to are like the big essay homeworks, right? But if it was like a practice maths exam, like I could do one of those practice maths exams in like 45 minutes. It doesn't take too much to do. Maths exams are easy. And I think if you give me like one of the old maths exams I used to have, I could easily just like Be like, that's how you do that. I'm a genius. Maths exams are easy. It was like the English ones where you have to like interpret like the English language and stuff like that. It's like, you know, the whole like curtains of blue. What does this resemble? And it's just like, yeah. The guy put some blue curtains up. What does that matter? It's like, 'cause half the time it doesn't matter. It's just the English teachers trying to think, hey, yeah, you know, we know what he was thinking when he wrote it. This shows a very cold and unapproachable manner about them. What do you say, Mr. Author? I want to stay out of this. I don't want to be part of your little parve about interpreting what I wrote. There were some very nice blue drapes, though. See? Teacher is always right. Yes, miss. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, right? And I'm telling you, like, my high school English was like one of the greatest things I think I have ever encountered, ever. I loved English. But I did not love actually doing the English interpretation. I hated that. It was awful. There was like, I can't remember what we actually learned. We did Of Mice and Men, right? So we learned about Of Mice and Men, the story about George and Lenny going out to the farm so they can get work after an incident. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what Of Mice and Men is, but Steinbeck, you are an amazing author. And John Malkovich, you play a very good Lenny. We learnt more about that book through the film than we did actually reading the book twice. We read the book twice and we watched the film twice. And I felt like a pure genius when I was just like making random stuff up about Of Mice and Men. I just felt like really crazy and weird because it was like, oh man, I'm actually like, I'm Englishing, right? It's crazy. It's crazy. I didn't think that, you know, stuff like that actually happened to people. Like, you know, me, I was stupid. I didn't think that happened. I think the most useless class I ever did was dance. I honestly, I think it's weird for a girl to not like dance. But I guess that's just stereotypes picking up again, isn't it? Yeah, they're like, you know, I just think like trying to teach it, I think that's silly. Because it's, the dances they teach you are not good. And this one didn't want to do it. I don't like it. I didn't like doing it, so I didn't. And as soon as I got out of being able to do it, I did. It's crazy. It's crazy. High school is one of the best times of your life, and if you are in high school, I highly suggest you just like take that time to soak in what's going on around you, because it is the best time of your life and you don't even know it. And the worst part is you can't get it back. There's nothing like it. So if you're in high school right? Hands down, like, focus on your education. That is one thing that I'm going to tell you to do right now. Because if you don't focus on your education, you end up like me. An idiot. You see, and you don't want to end up like me. That's a bad thing. You don't want to end up like me. So focus on your education. Make a lot of friends. And look after yourself. Something that I'm noticing right now more than ever is the amount of kids who are just disrespectful. The amount of kids who don't care, right? It's the amount of kids who get on our bus, right? Sit at the back of the bus, right? And they're like joking around and things. And it's like, I think a lot of the bad straw of it is, well, there's two things, right? So there's two quite major things that I'm noticing on currently. And that is that these kids will always push the back. And I think that that is like the standard. That used to happen when I was in school, right? So I don't think that's changed at all. I feel like sitting at the back is like a standard. And that is like your reign of power. And it's like, guess what? I sit at the back, so I've got this reign of power. And I think it goes to show people, right? It shows what kind of attitude people have. So if you sit at the front, right, and you know you've got no valid reason to be sitting at the front, I feel like there's outliers if you start counting people who have like buggies or have like or are wheelchair bound. You can't kind of count them in the same demographic for the same sort of thing, right? But what you can do is that the people who sit at the front who don't need to sit at the front, right? So students, younger adults, so on and so forth, you can judge their character based on where they go to sit when they got on an empty bus, right? So if you sit at the very front, I think you're a very timid, very shy person. Or you're a person who has a very high respect for people, that you put yourself out of the way so that other people can go and do whatever they want to do, right? And this is the very front. So very front of buses, literally just behind the driver, right? Now, if you sit in the middle, you kind of fit this same demographic, but you're not bad, right? You're not bad at all if you sit in the middle. I feel like that's just core baseline right there. Like, that's normal. That is good enough where you're still like a decent-ish, right? And I feel like you're a very like reliable person. If you're sitting more towards the front and things, you're a very responsible and very respectful person, because you should be giving your seat up to someone in like the elderly community should they get on. Then we get to the back of the bus, and the back of the bus is full of the school children. It's full of the super disrespectful and the kind of like, why am I talking to you? You are not worth my time sort of people, right? Kind of snub-nosed, if you would. And that's what I think a lot of these like kids are. I think a lot of kids are disrespectful, snub-nosed, and they think they're better than everyone. That is what I think about school children. Not all of them. Some of them stand or sit at the front. And those kids never cause an issue. They're never loud. They're never jaunty or anything like that. They're quiet. They're respectful. But anyone who sits towards the back is loud, shouts, swears, does all this stuff, right? And so sitting at the back is already an off-putting thing for me. Now, roll on to about 3 months ago. I was sat on the bus, and it was quite warm outside. And for it being warm early in the morning, that is a very rare occurrence. Now, I get on the bus. I sit down. And at this point, there's quite a few people on this bus. So I'm sat there, I'm minding my own business, and then I hear this like slight buzzing. And I'm not sure what it is, right? I'm looking around, I'm like, what is that? Because it's very intermittent, right? So I'm like, what on earth is that sound? And then I turn around to see literally on the window right next to me is this wasp, right? And I kind of shuffle away. I get over this side and I'm like, whoa, I didn't know you were there. So I'm kind of just like sat, not on the seat next to the window now. I'm kind of just pushed out to the next seat. And this wasp starts to fly its way back, right? It flies its way backwards. And that was the mistake of the wasp. It made it to the back of the bus, where some school children decided to beat it to death. It was a small creature. Not a nice creature, but a small creature. You didn't need to kill it that way. It's not fair. That was not fair on that animal. Right? That insect had a family, had a hive. It had a place it wanted to go. We could have just let it go. You didn't need to beat the thing to death. Do you know how disrespectful that is? Shush, there's no need for that. Do you know how disrespectful that is? To beat something to death just because it's in your space? And that is how self-entitled children are these days. Children think if you invade their space, they have the right to stop you. They deserve the space. They deserve the respect that you give other people. That doesn't mean they're entitled to tell you what to do. And I think, well, now I can do 3 things because there's actually something else. So these kids, basically, who all sit at the back, right? So it's very commonplace for people like to just end up getting on the same bus every time and all that. And I'm talking about it because it's really, really, really getting on my nerves when I get on the bus, right? And I'm relatively near the front, all right? So I should be able to get off first, right? I should be able to get off the bus first and make it to wherever I want to go. Why is it, in that case, that I guess no matter where I sit, why am I always one of the last ones off? It's because these kids stand up when the buses come in, like, you know, it's kind of turning in, right? It's kind of turning, it's getting to the end, and it turns in, and it goes, woo! And it pulls in, and then they kind of just, they're just like, all right, we're here now, so we can get off. So long, peasants. And they just waltz past you, right? They clearly see you want to get off. They clearly see you want to move just like they are. They don't stop and they don't stop and they're just like, this is respectful, right? Is when you get up and you start walking off the bus and someone else is stood up in front of their seat waiting to get off. You let them off, right? You let them off in front of you. These kids, they don't do that. They're like, nah, none of that. I'm off. Bob's my uncle. Who are you? And that's how they act. And that is so disrespectful. Because all it's showing is that these kids think that they can do whatever they want. And they get away with it. And this is a sign that we're becoming too, I don't know, we're becoming too lenient. Is lenient the right word? I don't know. We're basically becoming like, there's nothing that can stop them, and they think that they rule the place, you know, and that's very dangerous. And I'm not trying to say like, if kids can't have fun these days. It's like, if beating a small animal to death is fun, then so be it. But you know, I disagree. I stand to disagree. And I'm not trying to Karen the situation by any means. I just feel like there's no level of respect involved. Take, for example, when you're waiting for the bus, right? Where is the level of respect where the people who've been sat there waiting for 20 minutes get to get on the bus and get to pick a seat that they want to sit in, right? So, for context, there's quite a few like really small buses that run around. And I'm talking tiny. I'm talking like 6-seater little mini buses, right? Tiny ones. They're not 6-seater. They're more like 16-seater, right? But beyond the point. So the tiny buses, right? And they run around kind of like countryside and things like that. Quite far out buses. They're not really used much, but you can kind of jiggle it a bit and you're like, I can see why it's worth it, right? Because it kind of connects into other places, and then you can kind of just do a bit of a weave around. So if you want to do like a bit of a run round and do a big circle for like a weekend, you can. But what I think angers me is when I see quite elderly people, you know, waiting to get on these buses and things, and these school kids just said, yeah, I'm going to wait on the platform so I can get on the bus and get a seat. And then these elderly people get on and they're having to like kind of hang on to the handrails and things. I'm like, how is this acceptable? And it's like no one will offer a seat to him. Right? 'Cause it's going to, I am... let's imagine that I am an incredibly old, 80-year-old woman, and I have quite bad heart problems, and I struggle to stand up for long periods of time, and I merely want to go and see my grandson in the countryside on his farm. And this is the only bus that I can catch that will go close by, which I can reach with relative ease. And let's imagine now that I'm sat at this place waiting for this bus, and it comes along, and these bunch of school kids who have literally come in about 2 minutes ago are all stood outside your like little bit. And they all jump on this bus. Right? And now, what happens is, oh, driver, could I get one ticket to this place, please? And I'm afraid I'm going to have to sit down. I've got severe heart difficulty, you see. And then you get on the bus. All the seats at the front are taken. What am I supposed to do? Right? So there's no seats at the very front because they're all occupied by school children. There's no seats at the front. They're all occupied by school children. So what do I do now? Right there, right at the very back, you see one seat free. I'm gonna have to go all the way up here and struggle to walk up these very steep steps. I've got a bad hip, you see. I'm going to struggle to walk up these steps because these school children won't let me sit in the designated seats that we are supposed to be able to sit in. Do you see my point, right? I don't think it's fair on people who either have, difficulties, they have disabilities or things, and these people won't give the seats up for them. But they purposely push on so they can get these seats first before they do. Right? This kind of pushes on to the same point of people who have been waiting, right? I feel like the first point pushes the point a lot harder, but it's the same thing, right? It's the same thing as saying, right, listen, I didn't wait here 20 minutes to stand up on this bus. But the school kids won't give their seats up to a wonderful person like me. They'll just snark and remark and be like, yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'm babbling on about something that's completely meaningless, completely stupid, and just it's nice to vent is the problem. I don't want to Karen. I don't want to be a Karen. I don't want to do any of that. It annoys me. It annoys me to no compare that people feel like they can act that way. And there's a difference between being entitled and thinking, you know what, I have a right to this, right? Because I feel like if you're waiting and you're one of the first people there and you're waiting, I feel like, yeah, you do have a right to sit down on this thing, right? But for the school kids to all come at once, like in a big batch all at once, and then just take all the seats anywhere, even though you've been waiting for like 20 minutes. Yeah. That's unacceptable. It's like they're young, they're hip, and they can stand up at the front. Let the older 20-year-olds have a seat because they need like replacement hip surgery, I need replacement spine surgery. That's what I need. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, you stand up wrong that one time. You stand up wrong that one time and you're like, no, I can't. No, that's it. No, I'm laying back down. You know what? It was a joke. And it's so true. It's ludicrous how, like, simple something like that is. But it is so true. It's so ridiculously true that it's stupid. And it's crazy to me that, like, when you're growing up, right, you feel like you're on top of the world. You can do whatever you want, right? And you can do practically whatever you want to do. If you want to do like a weird stretch where you get your leg over the back of your head and stuff, and you're like, look at me, I'm the one-legged free dancer. It's like, all right, Whatever you want, dude. Unless that same person tries to do that when they're 20. Me. Let's say I try and do that when I'm 20. And you can barely get your leg up to your chin. And you're like, I'm sure I could do this before. So then you keep pushing it, and you keep pushing it, and you keep pushing it, and then you're like, yeah, this is not happening. And then the leg actually ends up going behind your head, and then you're like, yep, I made a mistake. You know what? If you ever go to the hospital like that, I'm fairly certain you'll give them a good chuckle. I mean, you'll be in dire pain, right? That can't be comfortable. But if you need to go to the hospital, right, because you can't get your leg back over your head after you put it over, yep, I'm sorry, but I think you're gonna give the nurses and doctors you're gonna give them a fun time. They won't laugh in your face, but trust me, they're gonna be like, yeah, maybe you're not as flexible as you remember. See, I haven't been in hospital that much, so I don't really know much about like any of that. It's just like I've been in like a couple of times. I've been in for like an X-ray. I've been in for fractures and things, but I haven't been in for much. Which is like, that's really lucky. Like, I'm very like happy that I haven't had to go in as often as like some people used to. And I think like the weirdest part was like I didn't know that the healthcare would, this is like the weirdest thing, right? So being my younger self, I was a very, very strange, but I feel like it developed my character a lot. I was a very strange like child. I didn't know healthcare was free in the UK. It's kind of free. It's not really free, but it's kind of free, right? And I didn't know it was free. So, all the way of growing up, from being like in primary school, all the way into high school, if I was ill, the be all and end all was, oh, you've got an issue. Let's have some Calpol, right? Because I didn't want to go to the doctors because the doctors would charge. And it was only when I was in school one day and I mentioned this to some of my friends. They said, what are you talking about? Healthcare's free. I was like, huh? And then they turn around and be like, you can't be serious. You mean you've never been in the hospital, like, for anything, really? I was like, not really. I didn't think it would be necessary to go because all the issues got resolved and things. And it was only after that that I learned that maybe Calpol was not the cure to everything. And healthcare was free. But for how long? How long will it be free here? Not very. If this is anything to go by. We're probably going to lose it in the next like year or so. You know, it's going to all be privatized. And it's going to be ridiculously expensive to get anything. That's what we get for electing in... That's what we get for electing in the blue. I don't think you catch me dead electing in the blue. Like, trust me, right? The blue... Nah, I can't say that. we need to stop the blue, because the blue's causing problems, and the blue is going to only cause more. Good times, eh? See all the weird stuff that goes on from your school years? Yep. That was like the point where I had like my first delve into YouTube too. 1 second. I had this point when I first delved into YouTube and did like this like weird stuff, right? And did this crazy like activities where I did like, you know, all those stupid like meme things at the time. So it was like, hey, do you want to do the cinnamon challenge? Yeah, like I'll do the cinnamon challenge, blah blah blah. Do you want to do this? Yeah, I'll do that. Right, I'll do whatever, blah. So I did it. I did the cinnamon challenge. I recorded it. I kind of did it as like some kind of like directed show, right? So it wasn't just like another person doing the cinnamon challenge. I did this as a show that was forerun as like a little production, right? I'm not going to dig the video out, and I'm not going to show anyone else. That video is unlisted and is never going anywhere again. But I did this challenge, right? And I don't know who said something, but someone said something. And I think it was because I told my friends. And my friends kind of spread it around. Hey, yeah, it's done the cinnamon challenge, right? And they were like, oh yeah, it's on YouTube. And they were finding it and they were spreading it, right? And I was like, yeah, so what, right? And they were just like showing it to people, and people were like, no way. Hang on, I need to fix my headset. Now, because I did it like some crazy like show, this kind of caught people's attention, right? And it was weird to people because people were like, why does your voice sound weird? Are you using a voice changer? Because what I did was I used to kind of sing it back in a really high pitched tone. So it kind of sounded like I was throwing it through like a squeakify effect. But I wasn't. This is what can happen when you train your voice and you can be like, and you can kind of do that kind of, I don't know, like anime lolly effect, right? And that's what happens when you can do that. So I was using that to my advantage. It was really high pitched. I was talking and I did like a 15-minute commentary where I just kind of spoke like that, right? I did the cinnamon challenge, and that kind of just like hit people like a brick, and that gave me a 15 minutes of fame in high school, because I was the only person that presented that challenge as a show, right? I got the cinnamon. The problem was, I misunderstood the challenge. And it was only afterwards when people were saying, did you realize what you did? And I was like, no. And they turned around to me and they said, you do know that it's unsafe to do as much cinnamon like that as you did. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, the challenge is you get a teaspoon. And it doesn't matter about the effects on your camera or anything like that. We can clearly see that's a tablespoon. That is a lot of cinnamon, right? And that stuff, like, it sticks to you. It sticks on your inside of your mouth and you struggle to, like, do anything. And I had this, like, water anyways, just in case, right? So I did this, right? And I uploaded this thing to YouTube because it was funny, right? It was always funny. And there was other little things as well. All those videos are privated now. You can't find them anywhere, right? This video had this sort of like viral effect in school. And it went around everyone. And then it got to the point where it was borderline bullying. Because what happened was I did it. And about 3 weeks later, they showed it in an English lesson I was in. I just could not watch it. I was like, ah. So I kind of like ended up showing everyone me doing the cinnamon challenge. But because I was presenting it as this show, it was ridiculously funny. So everyone found it funny because I was an idiot and I did a tablespoon of cinnamon rather than a teaspoon. To be fair, I still like cinnamon to this day. So it hasn't ruined it for me. But still, that was funny. That was really funny. Really, really funny. But that was one of my first, like, delve into YouTube in high school. Now, I don't think, like, a lot of the time, like, you feel like gaming is, like, you know, that was the forte back then. If you could get yourself playing video games on YouTube in the early days, like, you were gold. And then you had all these like people who were high and mighty on their, like, very specific things. You had, like, PewDiePie on video games. You had all these different, like, little YouTubers all coming together, you know, and these were all, like, big, like, names and things. Those are the kind of people. And then you had, like, the people doing these little shows and things, right? There's all these, like, little people. And look what YouTube is now. It's a mess. YouTube's a mess. Mind you, this site's not much better, so we just gotta make the best of what we got, eh? I find it crazy. I find it crazy that we have this, like, idea that we can do something, right? And we can do things like this and just pretend to be happy, right? You know, while we're doing them. It's like when I did that, I had a lot of joy, right, in doing it. And it kind of pushes back to this, is I enjoy doing this, right? I enjoy streaming. I enjoy doing it. And it doesn't matter whether it's to 0 people, 2 people, 10 people, whatever, right? That doesn't matter, right? Because a number doesn't dictate how much fun I have, right? What dictates fun to me is people, people who talk, people who just want to sit and idle by and just, I don't know, even at this point, listen to me rant and rage about meaningless stuff. That is fun. And you can't spell fun without fun, I think. What can you? I don't know. That's not what I was going for. I was trying to think of something else. You can't spell Funyuns without fun. There you go. I brought something up today at work, and it was a TikTok trend where someone has learnt how to sing the entire alphabet backwards. Now, it doesn't sound like a man of feet, that does it? Until you realize that this guy has sung the entire alphabet backwards, including the last verse of the alphabet. So not only is it A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. That took way longer than it should have. It was also, now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me? Sang in reverse, all the way through. And to this day, I do not know how he's done it. And it is such a funny TikTok that I must go back to it at least once to twice every month and let it play through about 6 times. It's so funny. I don't have any way of pulling it up. Or do I? No, I don't think I do actually. Because it wouldn't look very good on this size of a screen. I can't imagine they'd come out too well. Because they're kind of rendered for small devices, these tiny phones and stuff. So you play it on a big screen, it's kind of like stretched out and it wouldn't look too good. Keep having to pull the headset off every now and again. Just to kind of get it like kind of readjusted a bit, because there's like kind of a weird like stick to it, and I think the form's kind of kicking off and it's not happy. Mayo. But it's getting on back onto the track of like I enjoy it, right? So I enjoy streaming. I want to make this spectacular comeback, right? Where this week I'm streaming more. I'm streaming more and 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 more. Right? I want to stream today. I want to stream tomorrow. I can't do Friday. But I want to stream Saturday and Sunday. Now, Saturday and Sunday could be Saturday night and Sunday morning. Like, you see, it could be either or. I'm going to leave that one up to the mysterious. That could be any of them. Who knows? It's me. I know. I don't know what I'm doing yet, though. Whether I do that or whether I just do something during Saturday afternoon and then Sunday afternoon, or whether I do something Saturday night that runs into Sunday morning. The thing is, right, what I've realized is like around 5 hours. 5 hours is a very good time, right? And if I can do 5 hours, I'm going to do pretty good, right? Now, today, I don't want to do 5. I don't think I can even physically do 5. Because I need to be done by right about 10:30, which gives me about half an hour, which means we're gonna be going for about 2 hours 15 minutes, right? So I want to be done for about 10:30 because I gotta get up tomorrow. But basically, I don't need to get up Thursday, not early anyway. So what means is I can do something on Thursday night. I can do something on Friday night. I can do something on Saturday night, leading into Sunday morning. And then I can do something in Sunday afternoon if I so please. I wouldn't do anything on Sunday night because I need to get up. Right? And then if I can kind of work out like how all this other stuff merges together. So I can't do anything Friday because I'm playing D&D. Unless it gets cancelled. So what I'm thinking is if I do something Thursday and then on Friday, if it gets cancelled, I'll do something. If it doesn't get cancelled, I'm going to play D&D. Saturday, my plan is to do something that leads into Sunday morning. Right? I don't know how far I take it into Sunday morning. I don't even know what I do. I'm thinking I might play like a Mario ROM hack. I feel like that can engage me enough to the point where I'm not playing a Kaizo one, but I'm playing something a little bit harder. You know, it's like there's baseline Mario World. I know when I played it I didn't do too well. But I feel like that's a much better, it's much better than just watching the same game you've watched over before. I want to play something a little bit different. And there's quite a few like intermediate to hard Super Mario World ROMs that you can, not ROMs, ROM hacks that you can patch over the original and play that. So there's an idea. I think I can make that entertaining for 5 hours. What else is there? The thing is, like, I don't want to just sit and like things. Like, the thing is, right? I could mix and match. Like, I could play BR Chat for a bit. I could play Destiny 2. I could play. You see, I've got like this big one that I want to do, which is to play through The Last of Us, Part 1 and Part 2, but not like continuously, if you would. So I want to do like a long one where I play through The Last of Us Part 1. I might have to go into 2 parts. I'm not 100% certain on that one. So it might have to go into 2 parts, but I want to play through that. And then I want to play through Part 2. And Part 2 is quite a lot longer. So that would go to... I think I looked on how long to beat. Sorry, I took the headset off. Hang on. I tried to make it so I wouldn't be too loud in the microphone. But I want to play through Last of Us Part 1 and Last of Us Part 2, right? Now, I need to be very careful about what I show in those games. But they're story games, so I can go at whatever pace I want and be very gentle and breezy about them. Games like Destiny are very hit and miss whether they kind of vibe at the time. So I feel like if I wanted to do that, and that'd be something I do this weekend, where I have like a very short, not a short one. I was gonna play it tonight, but I thought, hey, look, I've got the lighthouses up. I haven't streamed this game in a while, so I'm just gonna come in here. I'm just gonna chill. Why would I go into Destiny and play, strikes that are getting on my nerves, or play legendary lost sectors and be like, why would I do that? No. I'm just gonna chill. I'm gonna be a little happy marshmallow. I'll be reminiscing about how I was in school and how I was like evil. To a sense, I was quite evil. I could be even worse if you want me to. I'm sorry. I'm just browsing while I. Well, I have a flick through. I'm just trying to like kind of think about something to talk about now because I've kind of nearly run out of conversation topics. Right, I'm trying to think about like what I want to do this weekend. Because I actually do want to do something. I want to get back on the vibe. I want to keep doing this. I don't want to push myself too much though. Because I feel like then, like, if I'm on like the verge of like picking stuff back up, I do have to play through Persona 5, so I still need to play through that. So that might be something I do like tomorrow, maybe. Like, I play through Persona 5. You know, and that'd be something like potentially I could just do. I don't know if I can coincide that with VR chat. You know what? If I could do that, that'd be awesome. Sit here, play with the controller. I don't know. Maybe if I like did this to the controllers and put my hands all the way through. No. I don't think that's the way of doing that. I'd be able to work something out, like, you know, kind of mangle a controller in between here. I mean, it'd look a bit strange, wouldn't it? And I can't remap PlayStation 4 to use these at the same time I'm using them in this, so there's always the option for VC Face, I guess. VTuber Plus is giving me issues galore. It's ruthless. It's ruthless. I think I've got like some interference on the loop back, and I don't know how that's happening because the loop back is like the internal. There's nothing that can cause interference on the loop back, but I seem to be having interference on the loop back, which is weird. Give me a second. I'm gonna get some more coffee. Now listen. If anyone ever says, "Why do you drink coffee this late at night?" I have developed a severe issue. When I was roughly 12, 13, I never drank coffee, right? My first encounters was around 13, right? So anytime before the age of 13, I had never touched a drip of coffee, right? And what you know growing up is that if you have something hot in a drink that isn't a hot chocolate, right, you're considered a very mature adult for having a coffee or a cup of tea or some green tea or, you know, something like that, right? If you have these things, right, you're considered a very, very, very mature individual. And that kind of got to me a bit because I like to be seen as mature. I like to be seen as a very mature person, right? So I like to be seen as like this amazingly mature, well-rounded young lady who, you know, kind of knows what she's doing. So growing up from 13 onwards, I started to drink quite a lot of caffeine. And it got to the point where I was having like 6 brews a day. Now, I think you might notice the problem is that caffeine, now that I am older and more, what is the word? Stupid. Is, as I was growing up, I started to see as a contest as to how many brews can I have in a day. So have you ever seen that episode of Futurama where Fry uses $300 to buy 300 cups of coffee? And by the end he's like, that is me on a constant basis. You ever seen the meme where it's like, me uncaffeinated, and then me caffeinated, and it's like the same thing, and it's like me uncaffeinated, and then I'll have like a picture of a cat, and it says anxious, and then underneath it'll say me caffeinated, and then it's the same cat except it says anxious but faster. That is me. That is me all over. And I made it to a point where I was having like 6 cups, maybe 7 cups a day, right? And you might think, that's not too bad. How many scoops of instant coffee did you put in your brews? Yeah. 3. So 3 teaspoons, right? I won't go too far. I won't put tablespoons in. I'm not an idiot, right? But it's now to the point where anything that isn't 3 scoops is too weak. I used to put a lot of sugar in, right? So a lot, growing up, a lot of sugar used to go into the brews, right? And that made all the amounts of difference because it went from wanting caffeine to wanting sugar, right? So I could amassly put 1 spoonful of coffee in and then put like 3 to 4 scoops sugar in, right? Or like X amount of sachets if we are out somewhere. And what I very quickly realized was that I didn't want milk in the brews, right? So I took the milk out and I was still having coffee and sugar. And then I started getting more aware that maybe the sugar is bad for me. So I started taking the sugar out, but I felt like I couldn't just have the coffee straight. I couldn't just have black coffee. So what I did was I started to basically buy milk alternatives and start putting those in the brew because I thought those would be a lot more I don't know, they'd be a lot better for me. So, you know, we had the whole like oat milk, the whole hazelnut milk, soya milk, coconut milk, things like that, right? And they'd all like pile up and they'll pile together. Now, the crazy thing is, right, a lot of these milks, when you put them in coffee, they amalgamate. And they look bad. The brews look bad, and the brews taste bad. So I stopped doing it. And at that point, I was like, right, well, I'm not putting sugar back in because I've kind of pushed away from that now. It's kind of more about the caffeine. So I stopped having milk in the brews entirely, and now I just drink black coffee. And what's happened in the time that I've done that is that now I am completely null and void to coffee. Any caffeine, anything like that, it just doesn't work. It doesn't even keep me awake anymore. I can drink this. Like, well, Actually, let me re-clarify. This is a cup of coffee, right? That I am drinking, and then about, what time is it? In about 40 minutes, I'm going to bed. With that one, I don't understand how my body is just like, you're fine. Go to sleep. You don't have this excess energy, right? I feel like caffeine has like this wide effect on my anxiety. And caffeine is the issue. But like any drug, yeah, caffeine is a hard one to kick because your body is so dependent on it now. Love you. And that's my issues with caffeine. Is it doesn't do anything for me anymore. So I can have free scoops. Like we ended up telling someone, right, the other day that I ended up having like free scoops in my coffee, right? And they didn't know. And this was weird to them, right? Because they just came in and I was just putting like coffee in the thing and they just kind of saw like how big the jar of coffee that I keep is, and they were like, have you got enough coffee there? And then someone joked up, yeah, but do you know how many she puts in a brew? And they were like, huh? How many? 3. It was almost like shock, right? And that's the weirdest part, is it was almost like shock. Because they couldn't believe how many scoops I put in. And it was like, really? Because anything, 1 scoop is like water. 2 scoops is like a very, very light brew. 3 scoops is perfect. Like, I don't ever want to go above 3 scoops because I feel like 3 scoops is ridiculous enough as it is. Now, some days I'm lazy. Some days I just pull the top off and just, yeah, that'll do. And some days I actually do measure it out. So usually if I'm like at work or something, I will scoop it out. I've got like a little spoon thing that I've got stored in the jar, so I'll just like, like that, and then the lid goes back on. And then it goes back in the drawer. Because I don't want people stealing my coffee. I pay good money for that coffee. Ain't no one taking that off me. I don't know what we're gonna do when I have when we have coffee shortage. Like, even now, it's like people are struggling to get hold of coffee, and it's like I have been spoiled by being able to have like this really high class coffee. Not super high. It's like, you know, on your board of like mid tier, but it's that mid tier that's kind of expensive, you know. Because down here you've got like the store brand stuff, and the store brand stuff's not very good, right? This stuff is awful. And there's a cafe, right, that I end up going to sometimes, and I ended up like saying one day, they said, oh, we're going here, do you want anything? And I says, yeah, get me a coffee, because I ended up running out, right? I said, get me a coffee and see if they'll make it strong, please. And they said, right, got ya. And these are people who know like that I have like ridiculous strength coffee, right? And it came back, and you know, I kind of picked it up. I let it cool down a little bit because it was still a little bit warm, a little bit too hot, right? I let it cool down. And it come in one of those like, kind of like polystyrene cups, right? So I took the lid off, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, yeah, this looks like coffee. Wow. That is the weakest thing on earth I've ever tasted. This was what I later learned to be the store brand coffee that they were charging like £1 for. That was trash. It was awful. It tastes awful. It doesn't taste like coffee. It tastes like, I don't know, some kind of like caffeine flavoring in water, right? You know, like how I said, like, you put 1 scoop of coffee in a cup and then you kind of fill it up. Now, something to remember is, like, I fill a flask and it's roughly like this big. Now, it's not like one of those big ones that you like lug about everywhere. It's just like a little travel mug, but it's like this big. And I feel like this is better for me because it can like store a cup of coffee in there for like 8 hours and not lose any of the heat at all. It loses some of its heat, but, you know, by the time I come to it, so I can make one at 6 o'clock at home in the morning, and then by the time I'm in work at 9, it's just the right temperature for drinking. And then that can last till about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? Even with the like little prong lifted up, right? It lasts. This thing retains heat. Like, it's ridiculous. I wish I retained heat like this. I went for a stage when I was younger where I was just cold. I was cold all the time. Now, whether the caffeine has something to do with it or not, I don't know. Speaking of the caffeine, I'm going to finish this cup now. Delicious. Nothing beats a good cup of coffee, right? And if anyone ever says, you know, coffee isn't good for you, they are right. Coffee is not good for you. Is it good for certain situations where it can benefit you? Of course it is. My problem is I got addicted to coffee before I should have. Which means basically we all ended up taking caffeine tablets when we were studying for our exams, right? So not our high school exams, our sixth form exams. We all ended up taking caffeine tablets because we had like 4 exams all staggered around the same day, right? So we all got together and we all just like, right, we're gonna do like this overnight study session. We're gonna take these caffeine tablets. We're gonna do great, right? So we all took these caffeine tablets, blah blah blah. And you know what happened? It didn't work on me. I ended up blacking out that night because I was that tired. Woke up the next morning and nearly missed my bus. So it's funny how it all comes full circle in the end. The issue a lot of people face, right? A lot of people have this genuine problem is people don't understand the things that can affect you, right? So like take me for instance, right? People don't understand how I can drink like 3 spoonfuls of coffee. But I do, right? So people look at me and say, oh, why do you drink 3 spoonfuls of coffee then? Is that not like really, really strong? I'm just like, yeah, but when you've had coffee for as long as I have over the years and things and like whatever, it's like, you have to understand is I'm putting 3 scoopfuls in a flask, right? That's not the same as putting 3 scoopfuls in a cup, which I have done before. That is a tad too strong. I used to put 2 scoops in the, you know, like little mugs and things. I used to put 2 scoops in those. Again, scoops are dependent on the container. 2 scoops in a cup is fine, but apparently 3 scoops in a flask and you're committing a war crime. I find it bizarre that some people would be like, hey, guess what? You can't do this because it's kind of illegal. And I'm just here like, I'm doing it anyway. Yeah, the amount of like breaks I used to take. So basically what happened was I used to end up taking like loads of breaks while I was working because I needed to go make another cup of coffee, right? So I used to have these little mugs, right? And these little mugs would be about knee high, right? They'd be tiny enough that you can just kind of get your hand around them. So they'd be like roughly to like here, right? And you drink it away, and you'd run out. So instantly my thought is, right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go and make another cup now. I'm gonna put it on my desk. I'm gonna type away for a little bit, and when I come to want to drink of this coffee, it's gonna be perfect level of heat down there, right? It's gonna be the perfect level, so that I can just go, wow, that is the tastiest cup of coffee I've ever had. The issue I have is that I ended up doing that about 8 times a day. Which meant that my caffeine intake each day was in the nearly the lethal level, right? And I figured out, right, this needs to stop. So not only was I taking breaks to go and make cups of coffee, I was at a very high caffeine intake level. And that is very dangerous, right? So what I decided one day, I was in the shops, right? And I was just idling. I was just trying to kill some time, right? And I ended up walking down one of the aisles. And on this aisle is a flask. It says, this flask can retain heat for 10 hours. Right? And I'm a bit skeptical, right? I'm like, yeah, it's not gonna it's not gonna retain the heat, is it? And I'm looking at how much it is. It's on sale. I'm like, right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna buy this flask because I think this will benefit me, right? So on the time I was like, right, I need to buy this, something that's gonna slow my intake of caffeine down. This thing has worked wonders. Like, I was down it at first. I love it. I love this thing. Because now what I can do is I can wake up in the morning, I can make a brew, right? I make a brew, I take it to work with me, right? This brew that I have in my bag from the morning, I get it out at 9 o'clock on my desk. This thing is the perfect temperature for drinking right there at my desk. At 9 a.m., when I'm a little bit groggy and I'm like, right, I need caffeine, otherwise I'm not going to be able to deal with these people, right? Delightful. Typing away, right? Get a phone call. Hello? Yeah. Yeah, of course I can. Yeah, no worries. Bye-bye. Put that down. Type. Do this thing for this person. If I didn't have the cup of coffee, I'd be a little bit groggy. I'd be like, that person again. Because I've had my cup of coffee, right? I've took it to work with me. I feel pretty good. Now that cup will last me roughly until about 2 o'clock, right? So at 2 o'clock, what I'll do is I'll stand up. That is roughly when I go for lunch, right? So I step out, I go for lunch, right? And At this time, I go and make another brew. Now, given that this thing can retain heat for 10 hours, that means I won't be able to really drink this cup of coffee, this flask of coffee that I make for the next hour, right? I can't really touch this thing until the next hour. So I make it at 2 so that at 3 o'clock, I know that I can drink this cup, right? To a reasonable degree, reasonable temperature, right? Because it's like lava hitting your like lips if you just just drink it straight as soon as you put it in there. Like, you've got to give it a chance to cool down, to the point where I thought, right, maybe it's not the best idea to drink it straight out of the flask. Maybe what I need to do is like hit it out and then get it in a mug. But then I've just thought, right, I'm just going to hit the same problem, because I'm going to keep topping this thing up, and it's just going to be like, so I may as well just drink it out of the travel mug, right? So it hits about 3 o'clock, right? Now, sometimes, depending on the workload, I end up drinking it. Sometimes I don't, right? What can happen is I can make this brew and end up not touching it at all. This is on a rare circumstance where I haven't finished it by 2, but I end up finishing it like around about 4 o'clock, right? And then at 4 o'clock, I'm like, oh, maybe I need to go and make another brew. Now, my brain doesn't work that well running around this time in the afternoon, right? So my brain is like, here's what I need to do. I need to make a brew. The time is currently 4 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, I'll be able to drink this brew. It gets to 5 o'clock, and I'm being run ragged and pulled like one of those stretchy Spider-Men, right? In every direction. So I don't have a chance to even drink this cup of coffee, this flask of coffee. So I take a full flask of coffee home with me, right? That's in my bag, which is literally over there, right? So what ends up happening is I'll just be sat here. I'll be like, I need a cup of coffee. Hang on a moment. I go in there, I pull this cup of coffee out, this flask of coffee, right? That is what happened tonight. That was made about 3 p.m. this afternoon. That is one good flask. I love that flask. It's ridiculous. But that's why I end up drinking like cups of coffee late at night. And then because I'm adjusted to the point where it's like, it's not even that strong for me because it's in a flask. It's not even that strong. So I don't really want to go above that limit. It still kind of perks me up that little bit, right? So that tiny pick me up, right? So I have that. I can go to bed in literally, what time is it? I can go to bed in 10 minutes and I can be fast asleep within 15. Caffeine just doesn't work on me. I don't know what else I can say, right? I am just that tad little bit weird. How I can't display it with my hand, but I'm like, you see like the distance between these. Do you see like the distance there? Is that like little tad? That's me. Is that tad a little bit weird? Maybe very if you ask the wrong person. Maybe. But yeah, I've realized what time it is now, so we're roughly around the right time. That was how it was gonna end. I'm gonna end, I think. Not much I can really have to say other than be respectful, be a wonderful person, and just keep being your wonderful self. Because you are wonderful. And that's all you can be. Your very best. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So keep on rocking, you superstar. You're worth it, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So I'm gonna run, because I need to sleep. But I hope you take care of yourself. And you have a wonderful day. Or a wonderful rest of your day. Or a wonderful morning if you're just waking up. Take care of yourselves, okay?